Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of our Satisfactory series. Honestly, I don't know if we're on 6 or 7 at this point, so I'm just going to start saying another episode. We're pumping out so many of these and I'm having a great time doing it, and I actually did a little bit of a change while off camera. This took actually kind of a few hours, and I thought it would be a little boring to watch, but I do love my grand reveals. So I made sure that whenever we did the base, I picked a few colors that I liked. We went with tan and green because I'm pretty basic. And I made sure to also include a few other highlights like red, and we added some walkways. Overall, I think it looks really good. We even have pathways for walking. We colored everything, but I'm still kind of figuring it out as we go, and there's definitely going to be some stuff that I'm going to find here and there that needs to be changed. So hopefully this will be our new color scheme for the time being tan and green. I even coordinated the windows correctly, so hopefully everything looks pretty nice. I also changed our building over here. This is our engineer design building, and I'm going to probably implement this design in our new buildings. That's why I have it set up here. I want to make a few of these changes going forward, as I think overall this looks pretty clean and makes it a lot more interesting coming up in here. I know what I'm looking at. Everything looks nice and not just like a bunch of orange, although I don't really hate the orange look too much. We also even went in here into this big production facility, and I did change everything in here as well. We changed the other floors too, but I'll let you imagine what those ones look like. I also tried to clean up the electric cables throughout the place as well. So hopefully all of the energy cables that are going around are really just the bare necessities when it comes to different energy cables. And some of the better looking rooms with the biggest improvements are this iron one. As you can see here, it's just really cleaned up throughout here. And I know I need to change these conveyor belts on the top, but all the ones on the bottom are cleaned up and the floor doesn't look too messy either. I decided to add a little bit of realistic aesthetic and made all of the outdoor foundation black and the indoor foundation gray, just because the outdoor foundation tends to get a little bit dirty, or at least it would if this was real life. And also, your car actually does leave tracks, and I figured it probably looks a little bit better leaving it on black than leaving it on white. So this is our new setup. Honestly, nothing else changed besides the aesthetics. It did take me quite some time, like I said, to do this, so hopefully you all enjoy it. If not, it's all good. Everyone has a different sense of taste and style. Also, before I forget, as far as these two new buildings that I didn't show off last time, we did set them up. We actually ended up setting them up exactly like we did the first two buildings. So if you saw that, we were able to set up these 2 miners to 6 smelters into a bunch of constructors inside. Then after all of that, we actually changed it up a little bit. We set the top floor, which would have normally been 1 assembler. I did a little bit of a change and set it up so that it is actually 3 assemblers. This is the same thing that we did for the other side, and I wanted to mimic it over here just so that we are getting as many of these assembled items as possible. We're going to need a ton of them for all of our future projects, so I just wanted to make sure that we were making a bunch. So between these 6 assemblers, we have 3 rotors and 3 reinforced steel plate producers going at the same time. And these are just going to slowly work away, and I will either eventually pipe out the final product or have it sent over via truck or a conveyor belt or something. As you can see here, everything is starting to stack up, surely but slowly. And there we go. We do have a lot of stuff producing. It's the same on the other side too. And here, just to show off in case anyone missed it from the last episode, the side is the same. We have 2 miners and 6 smelters. What is nice and actually kind of crazy about this side is there's 2 more options for miners. So that means that in a future date, we could set up these 2 miners to go to maybe even 2 new facilities over in this direction, and we could have even more assemblers going at the same time. But I think we are growing a little too big for our britches. That's a really old saying. I don't even know who says that anymore, but it is applicable here because we are currently running out of energy. Our energy needs are pretty high at the moment, especially considering we just made four entirely new iron foundries with assemblers included. So we have a lot of energy needs now. So I think this episode's actually going to have a little bit of everything. We're going to need new power, we're going to need new buildings, and we're going to need to design some stuff. But before we get done with any of that, I always like starting off the episode with a nice little bit of progress. So we're going to go up here and check out what's been researching. So I did find a hard drive, so I decided to pop it in here and scan it. This one, we ended up, I'm not sure what to go with. It seems like both of these are, even though it says solid steel ingot, I think these end up with the same end product, which is steel ingots or quick wire. Previously, whenever we made fine concrete, I thought that was just a new way to make a new item, but it's a new way to make an old item. So we don't necessarily need these. These are just different ways to make the same thing. So instead of making steel ingots the way we currently do, we could actually make it this way. But I don't really think either of these really matter, so I'm going to rescan the hard drive and see if there's a different way to make stuff like this. So instead of using what would traditionally require wire, this actually uses quick wire. So I think I'm going to go with this just because it's a little bit different, although I don't know how much better it technically is. So I just got done scrambling around and getting a few more materials for this next milestone. This one is pretty important. It's going to be a big upgrade for our power. I don't even know what is available here. I just know that we already are in a power situation. So anything that is gonna improve that situation, I'm all for it. So let's grab the rest of these, and that should be enough of the frames. So hopefully this solves all of our problems, but let's find out. Put in the wire, encased steel, and frames. Let's launch.
Milestone reached. After several pioneers started exhibiting traumatic responses to power blackouts, Fixit developed mitigation tools recommended by your local therapist. Power storages can hold excess power to delay or prevent blackouts in the eventuality that your factory's power consumption exceeds production. To simplify, these are rechargeable batteries. Power towers carry power lines for significantly greater distances than poles, facilitating factory expansion and exploitation of this environment for the good of Fixit and humanity.
Hey, that's good news for us. So it's good news and bad news. So while we're waiting for the rest of our research to finish over there, we can take a look at the new power stuff. So these power poles and power storage, I think, are the only three things we unlocked, and from what she said, these are just batteries. Which is good, but also potentially not as good as I would want them to be. So I guess the idea is that it can store 100 megawatt hours for 1 hour. And so technically, I guess if we make a ton of these, we can just have energy at all times and never have to worry about fluctuations in the network. Because currently as it stands, we have plenty of power. As you can see here, it's 675. It often does go up to 750. Apparently there's just one of the coal generators that knocks offline every once in a while and then comes back. And it even seems like a couple of them do it. But the lowest we go is 600, and the highest we typically go is around 500. So we still have plenty of production overhead. But if this ever jumps up to its max consumption of 930, we're gonna be really out of luck. So that's kind of unfortunate. All of this production is currently coming from coal generation. Those buildings down there don't even start working until our coal generators get knocked offline. I don't know why, but that's just kind of seems the way it works. If we go over there right now, they're stocked up with solid fuel. They just are kind of idle, waiting until it needs to be used. It's not going to burn it for no reason. So because of that, what I was thinking is if we make enough of these power storage units, we can place them nearby, even like right here. Whenever we place them there, we can charge them up and then not have to worry so much about our production outrunning our energy needs. This isn't foolproof by any means, and I'm not even sure if it'll technically work, but I figure if we have an extra couple hundred or even couple thousand watts or megawatts of storage, then that'll hold us over for when our network comes back online. Because we don't go over 500 very often, but if we do go into the 5s or 6s or God forbid the 7s, then we'll have to dip into that extra store of batteries, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. So that might be our next thing we got to get on, but we have one more that we can take a look at. We have everything for this, so I'm going to get the materials real quick and meet you back here for this milestone. So we have everything we need, and the plane just got back, so this works out perfectly. Let's throw everything in here and launch it back to where it came from. Hypertubes unlocked.
Milestone reached. By adding hypertube entrances at both ends of hypertubes, pioneers can achieve two-way travel between locations. They are also % safer than jump pads. You dreamed of moving across factories like valued resources, such as rocks and water, and Fix-It listened to your dreams. We watched them. We took extensive notes. Hypertubes. Because Fix-It makes pioneers' closely monitored dreams come true.
Alright, cool. So we have hypertubes unlocked. A hypertube system cannot be powered up or used until a hypertube entrance is there. So we have a hypertube here. Some supports allow them to stretch over longer distances. So I don't really know how this is supposed to work. Like, are we going to just be expected to move this all the way over there? Like, how does... And then we can, we need to do it all the way, and then we need to get a return trip all the way too. This is actually kind of awesome. I didn't have any hopes for this, but considering we're kind of expanding and getting further away from the base, this is becoming slightly more useful than I imagine. So we're up here. Perfect. We have a hypertube. Let's set it to spit us out. I mean, honestly, kind of right here is fine. All right, cool. And then this way we can set up a new entrance. I think we got to set up a support. That definitely seemed like the move for sure. And then turn this into an entrance. And then we can hypertube it back to the base. Wait, this might be a two-way. We might only need one pipe. Oh, we only need one pipe. This is awesome. Okay. Alright, so our research is done. It's been done, but we kind of got carried away with that little hyperloop thing. So let's check out what we got from this hard drive. Alright, so we have a new way of making steamed copper sheets. I am not going to be doing that, that is for sure. Then we have iron alloy ingots. What does it get us? Iron ingots? We just need copper and iron. I'm good on that. Let's see if we can rescan. This is actually kind of cool. I don't need a new way to get iron, but having a way to make a ton of wire might be kind of neat. So I guess we'll do that. But either way, we have a bunch of stuff that we just got unlocked. We could also unlock this, which is the whole reason I came over here, but I forgot about the hard drive getting done at the same time. So now we have a fourth hand slot. Looking like an octopus at this point.
Tool belt expanded. No alien organisms were harmed during the creation of this tool belt.
Yep, no were harmed. Nothing was harmed actually. We also have this. This is pretty cool too. So we have explosives. That's pretty awesome. I'm so glad we unlocked explosives.
Detonator and Basic Nobelisk unlocked. Most obstacles can be cleared with the Basic Nobelisk. It is most effective against organic material and is able to destroy small boulders and porous rock. Deployed Nobelisks will stick to the first solid surface they touch and queue on the universal detonator. If you do not recall the order in which you deployed the Nobelisks, remember Fix-It does not take responsibility for any harm caused due to human error, even if those errors are genetic.
Awesome, perfect. So that means that we can blow ourselves up now, like officially. So we have the detonator and the Nobelisk, which apparently, based on what she said, can blow up like everything. And also we have a 5th hand slot. I love doing these researches at the start of the episodes whenever I can, because this feels pretty cool.
Tool belt expanded. I compounded sulfur's tristatic atom matrix into a quadrimensional gate vortex. You can now carry more stuff.
Cool, I can carry like everything now. So the next thing that I want to focus on unlocking is actually surprisingly not this Explorer. I feel like the vehicles just probably aren't very good at navigating terrain, just based on how poorly the tractor handles. I do really want to get this underway as well. Caterium. So we do know where a Caterium thing is, we just need to go get it. So everything else we have unlocked, I think I'm okay with. The next thing I want to unlock is the smokeless powder, but I have no idea how we're even going to begin getting plastic made. That sounds like a pipe dream, unironically. Like, what? How do you even begin making plastic? So let's get a detonator, which I don't think we have. Yeah, let's unlock a detonator real quick. And then we can make maybe a few of these Nobelisks. We do need pure sulfur and coal. Let's see if we have any of that around. Alright, cool. So we have 5 bombs ready to go, just in case. I don't even know how to put them down. It kind of scares... we can't put it in our hands, so do we just pull out the detonator? Okay, we literally do. Let's reload the detonator. I was going to set this down right here. I feel like that's probably a bad idea, right? Ooh, can we blow up this rock? This rock has been the bane of my existence for so long. Yeah, let's go see if we can. Look at... Oh, that's cool. It sucks that we can't blow up the rock, but that is really cool. Can we blow up these stinker bombs? That'd be cool. Oh! We can! No way. That is okay. Let's, we need to make a pit stop. Over. We need to find some more pipes. Alright, so we did get a few more bombs. And now I think it's high time we got rid of Stinker Mountain. I know I've never actually made a fuss about it, but just keep in mind I've always hated Stinker Tower. This is some James Bond technique right here. It's funny, my girlfriend's like, "Are you saying Stinker Tower?" Yes, yes I am. As a matter of fact. Alright, I almost died there, I didn't even realize. Let's get some vengeance. Oh my god. That was the coolest thing that's ever happened in this game. We can actually walk around our base and not get hurt. This is great. I have a full smile on my face right now from blowing this place up. And we get the reward. A regular yellow power slug. I've talked about fighting this guy before. I tried to, but let's see. Hello. Goodbye. Oh my god. What the heck? This thing is insane. Why does it have like eyes? It doesn't have any loot. Sorry, bird. That was collateral damage. I didn't mean to hurt him. And no, don't ask for it. I'm not going to fight them. Alright, so I am glad we made these bombs and tried them out in a few different places. Overall, really happy with the results. I almost got sidetracked and forgot what we were doing, but after a couple of seconds it came back to me and we're going to redesign this building to look a little bit more like this one. Once we're done with that, I'll meet you back here and I have an idea of the next thing we need to do. It's definitely time that we focus on this new objective. And here we are, done with our new working building. This is what it's going to look like with a fresh rooftop, just like the one over there. Remember, we do all outside foundations black, the insides white, and the rest should look pretty familiar. So we have all that set up. We put the ladder on the other side. It makes it a little less likely you'll just randomly fall to your death. We have a visit from the pet lizard doggo. And then we have an improved double storage container for our final little bit. So I also made sure to color everything, so hopefully it retains the color going forward. And now this building looks just like that one, which is exactly what we were going for. So we should be able to save this, and hopefully it's not a problem. We can do the bottom, change the name to storage now. Constructors and then assembler in the third, so perfect. Good to go. And then we'll set the color as our new color that we've been using. I don't really know how to do this, so it's kind of like this color. There we go. Save the blueprint. Doesn't require nearly as much as I'd imagine. It is a lot of sheets though, a lot of iron plates. So let's clear this off and we're good to go. I'm also going to get rid of this as well. This is a lot of materials. And now we can set it up wherever we need. Alright, so we have all the materials for the next thing on our list. It's so funny that we did the design and the explosives before this, but I've been meaning to do this for a little bit. I actually admittedly totally forgot that this was a thing that existed. So let's go do it again. This is going to be the space elevator, of course. As you can see, we brought all the stuff we need out here for it, and we are going to actually face it a different direction this time. So we decided to put the space elevator here. We set up a little bit of a foundation this time, so it's not just hanging out. And luckily we had a building right here, so we had a pretty good view of the whole setup. Barely able to contain it. Let's pick a color for it. There we go. Perfect. Now it matches our hub. This is always really cool. I love watching this, and we will watch it again. I might make the space elevator one more time just so we can watch this part again. This looks so sick. Yeah, this company needs to make a space freighter building game. That is what I want. Alright, perfect. So we're all set up. This is the thing I have meaning to get back on track with. Clearly, we're still in phase 1, technically, and we have like 3 phases more to go. So let's complete phase 2, or at least get working on phase 2, and then we can progress with other stuff. So we have plenty of setup and facility for the current phase. Let's actually start working on it. And because of that, I want to set up a dedicated building just for this. And funny enough, all of the objects for the space elevator require assemblers. So I'm just going to extend this building a little bit more and add a bunch of assemblers here rather, so that we can actually get started on this progress. I'm going to add a bunch of foundation, get the assemblers going too, and then bring over some product so that we can actually make some progress. It's been a really long time since we've actually managed to put anything towards this project, so it's actually really nice. It's refreshing, and I'm glad that we are refocusing up on this because it's definitely in need of it. So now I figured, since we do have 3 different pieces that we need to make, we can actually just have 3 assemblers assemble the final product and push them directly into the elevator itself. So because of this, I do want to set up 4, or actually rather 6 of these storage containers. I didn't realize it's so many. So I do want to set up 6 of these storage containers, these big ones, just so that we can load material into here and not really have to worry about it running out anytime soon. So let's go ahead and set these up side by side. We're going to have 6 of them running together so that we can conveyor them directly into the assembler assembly line as it is. So now these assemblers are going to require some power, but luckily for us, we do have a solution to that, being that there is a power cable right here. We can have a wrap around the building, and then we can connect it to each of these. No problem. And it'll be just enough to power all 3 at the same time. I figured this is a good idea, as this is going to be a problem we run into with future space elevator problems as well. So if we get this sorted now, then it shouldn't be so much of a problem in the future. And this third and final one, let's put this right there. So everything should be working and underway, or at least the ones that have the parts. So I am going to go fill up the car with a few things. We do have a lot of these parts already made, so I'm going to bring the tractor over and get it filled up. Well, there you have it. So we have everything hooked up. I even managed to change the color of everything, even though you can't see it super well right now. We're going to need to grab more cables, but for the most part, we have the cables, stators, steel beams, modular frames, all of these rotors, and reinforced plates. So everything is where it should be. It's just about getting a little bit more of it and also building it up over time. As we make more, we'll supply it with what it needs. And luckily for us, we're making everything that this project needs right now. That's kind of what we've been building up to. Sick trick. So we can proudly just wait and hope that everything comes together just like this. Look at all these cables. We need all these, so let's bring them on over. And this is more or less going to be the process until we build up to a full stack of all the items for phase 2. So hopefully this doesn't take too long, and I may assign more things to this if I get impatient, but chances of that happening aren't very high. And so with the next thing on our list, this is kind of a much more important problem than the phase 2 objective that's slowly getting completed in the background, because we're going to be talking about power. We're going to set up the power storage situation, mostly because I was looking at the requirements and it's not a lot. Even if we wanted to build 10 of these so we have a full 1,000 megawatt hours built up, the requirements are pretty low. And set up for 2,000 megawatt hours. That'll make it so that we have quite a bit of overhead, and if we do go over, it doesn't mean the end of our operations. This is mainly just a little bit of insurance and just me wasting materials just for the sake of it. So don't worry, I don't really expect this to solve any of our big energy problems. Mostly just something to kind of look cool, set us up in case a failure does happen, and also I want to see what it looks like. So let's get the modular frames set up and the wire real quick, after I give the rest of my smart plate to the gods above. So this ended up working out practically perfectly. I didn't mean to. I promise I didn't count this beforehand. It kind of just ended up that we have the right amount of these to make this perfect little setup here. So it did fit all 20 indeed. And now we have a giant battery pack in the middle of our facility. Let's take a step back and find out what this actually looks like, because I feel like it looks ridiculous. I wonder if it looks as ridiculous as I imagine it does. Yep, these are Duracell batteries, that's for sure. I think Duracell uses brown, so these are tan. Okay, let's see if we can find it. There we go. This is a brown one. I think it's brown and black. There we go. We're just setting all these Duracells to the proper color. I don't know. I feel like maybe it could be gold. Is Duracell gold? Gold and blue? Let's go look it up. Alright, so I went and looked at the Duracell logo, and this right here is it. It is brown and black, so it is all already colored to this swatch, so there's nothing else I could do. This is the Duracell battery farm. Now I just need to plug all of these in somehow. Can they all plug into each other? They can't plug into each other. This is crazy. What are we doing here? This looks so insane. All right, after a bit of setup, we now have what is potentially the most cursed and most branded thing we've ever done on the channel. Behold the Duracell battery farm. We have 20 batteries, each holding 100 megawatt hours worth of energy, and that means we have a total of 2,000 megawatt hours of extra battery power. So this means if we ever go over for whatever reason, if more things start getting turned on and production ramps up, then our whole operation doesn't go down the drain. That's the idea, at least, and hopefully what actually ends up happening. So I connected all those into a giant web of power connectors, and hopefully over time it does fill up. As long as we keep producing more power than we're using, then eventually, even though it might take many hours, we'll build up a little bit of a battery farm. And this will make up for any shortcomings we have in the near future. As we can see here, whenever we talk to the pole, we're at 1% battery life. Not anything to brag about. You know, if your phone's at 1%, you're probably having a pretty bad time. But as you can see here, our consumption is around 500. Our production is anywhere between the low 7s to the mid 7s. There we go, 675 up to 750. It even does drop down to 600 sometimes, like as you can see there. But our consumption typically almost never goes above 600, and both of those would have to coincide at the same time, which isn't super likely, although it is possible. So our capacity does max out at around 1,000, and our max consumption can technically go above that. So technically we are operating in the red, which isn't good. But as you can see, our milliwatt amp hours are stacking up slowly. Eventually, whether it takes 10 hours or 100 hours, we will have extra power. That's until, you know, something catastrophic happens, which hopefully doesn't in the near future. This is all a giant just in case. I'm not going to be relying on it, so we do need to figure out something else for our next step in our energy preserving or creating journey. So something else that we can explore a little bit into since we're done with the power storage is these power towers. So apparently these are the same exact things as power poles, except they can connect across very great distances. Now, let's put that to the test. How far can this really go? So our main power operation is right here, so I figure right here is a good starting point. Let's connect everything up and see how far we can get. So we built our first tower and we were able to connect one of these power lines to it. And it actually seems like the power tower has two sets of power lines. One's on the bottom where it acts like a power line, and then one on the top where it acts more like a real power tower. As you can see, it stretches super duper far. That's really good news because I wasn't sure how far it would actually stretch, and this is going to really clean up our sightline. This is mostly aesthetic at this point, but that's fine because I do think it looks quite a bit better. So if we take the power tower line and stretch it all the way over there. There we go. That means that we can get rid of all of these little power dudes and we can just use these towers. Well, that was kind of surprising. It definitely turns out that the power towers certainly work. I was able to delete all of the power lines going along our coal route and our water lines so that we have a lot easier sightline. Honestly, like I said, it's all aesthetic, so it isn't really that big a deal, but it turns this line of power towers right there into just one, like you can see there. So I was able to power our coal line, and as you can see down there, set up 2 additional power towers. I think I'll do this for maybe at least this line, but I don't think I'm going to go through and spend the amount of resources in order to make a ton of these. As you can see, it definitely looks cooler and it goes really far. It just doesn't seem like it's worth going through and spending a bunch of time to do it right now, but maybe in the near future, it'll definitely be worth it. So it seems like a pretty nice relationship. It doesn't mean that there's no need for these power poles anymore. It just means that we can use them way less frequently. So we have the power towers connecting to the smaller ones and the bigger ones to the bigger ones. It just makes more sense. This definitely does not help our power situation by any means, but I'm glad we explored it just so that we can more easily set up these power lines in the near future, especially for places that have kind of like power line web issues like this building that I'm probably going to demolish soon. So next things next, we actually really need to figure out this power situation, because we keep adding to the grid, but we're really not solving its main issue. And so, oh, look at this guy making himself at home. Let's give him a jump or two. So here we go again. You already know we're back doing this thing again. Getting a few more water extractors cooking because, yep, we have a water issue. So we're gonna try and set up our water similar to how we did in the jungle the other day. That means a lot of pipelines and potentially some very questionable pipeline pump choices. So hopefully we get this right the first time. The last time it took a lot of time, but we were able to actually suss out kind of how water works, hopefully. So with that in mind, I'm really hoping that this doesn't take a really long time, because the other one, yeah, we were there for quite a while. So we set a full load going from the lake to all 8 of these coal generators now, up from 4, greatly increasing all of our production. At least, hopefully. It does look like our coal is stacking up, which is nice. I ended up having to fully upgrade the conveyor belts, all of the conveyor belts, considering this one source that we hooked up to a tier 2 miner is getting split into 8 different locations. So our 8 locations are getting fed coal, but as they back up here, we're going to get more and more feeding into these other ones. So honestly, I think this looks great. The overall layout, I think, looks a lot cleaner, makes a lot more sense, and I'm a lot more secure in how our water system is set up. All of these pipes are full, ready to go, and if you check out any one of them, they are flush with water, so I'm not worried about them at all. I was kind of concerned with them because all the information we had from our previous pipe laying situation last episode, we didn't get to apply to this one because this was one of our first works. So now, not only am I more sure of this place, it's making twice as much energy. I think this is a pretty great operation, and if we check out the energy situation, one, if you check out this pipe, look at full of water, huge. But if we check out our energy situation, we're sitting at 975 to 1000 watts of production. That is pretty good considering our previous production wattage was around 600 to 700, so we increased it by a really solid amount. Slowly our energy is getting buffed up, or at least our battery storage is getting buffed up, and that'll eventually be at 100 because we're barely scratching half of what our production is, which is nice. You always want to have that extra bit of headroom just so you don't have to dig into these battery reserves unless something gets a little crazy. So this is our production line so far. Hopefully it manages for a little while, and I need to eventually find out what's going on with all of the fluctuation in the energy grid. I would like it to stay at 1000 at all times, but I don't really know why some of our coal generators just randomly get knocked offline. I'm not sure if it's any of the ones here or any of the ones at the other locations. I'm gonna have to go back and maybe audit them just to make sure everything is working. But for now, I'm really confident with this one, and I'm glad we took the time to do it. It wasn't too bad considering we have a lot of experience laying pipe now. And we've actually done quite a bit more progress while we were kind of offline. There was a bit of time today and yesterday where I couldn't really do any voiceover, so I kind of just worked on small things in the background. And I didn't progress too much, but I do want to show you all what we did. So last we left off, we finished the pipeline, which is doing great. It's actually really stable. And I want to check on the old pipeline. But before we go on a little adventure, I do want to show off a little bit real quick that we made some changes. So we did change, as you can see, the rooftop here is cleared because now it's going directly into the main facility. Same with this copper wire, and actually kind of like all of our copper. So we're sending all of our copper over into our blueprinted facility, and then that is getting sent directly over to our actual either warehouse or into our other operations. So we just had a little bit change of the intake and outtake. Also, we have a little bit of a change in here. So we were gathering sulfur and coal, and I figured, why not stockpile more? You know, why limit myself? So not only that, but I set up these two assemblers. Speaking of just making stuff, just because I have compacted coal as well as black powder just stockpiling for whenever we need it. I really don't know when we will need it or if we will need it, but I wanted to, have a stockpile just in case. Through the similar thought process, we also added more storage for our silica as well as our quartz crystals. So overall, we made not a ton of changes, but a pretty good amount of changes while we were gone. Also, on top of that, we have this pipeline set up to make it a little bit easier to get to and from our little space elevator setup. And speaking of which, that is also stockpiling more and more of those parts for the next time we need them because, yeah, you guessed right. We are actually done with our space elevators. You can see in the top right, phase 2 is complete. We just need to go finish it, but I want to make sure that I take you guys on a little tour before we actually finish this. So I kind of just went on a little stockpiling spree, and this isn't for any particular reason other than I couldn't do voiceover for a little bit yesterday and today. So because of that, I still wanted to be productive and not really take away from the viewing experience. So I kind of just decked out our storage facilities for all of our buildings. So you saw the other ones, and this is our big one. This one, we are going to stockpile everything that you can imagine, extra parts of stuff here and there. And this is where it all goes. It's feeding in either through this little or network of wires or through up here. It is going to be a little bit, it's actually not as much of a mess as I thought. I was going to say it's a mess, but we still have 2 openings here and there, and it still looks pretty good. It's sorting everything, and honestly, I'm kind of proud of the way it looks. It looks kind of cool from the outside. So I'm sure everyone noticed, I also took a little bit more advantage of these hypertubes, and I didn't think I would use them that much. Man, I was wrong. These things are cool. So I do have a little stop off there on the 2nd floor so I can get in between floors so much easier now. And also, let's check this out. So this is to get to and from our 2 facilities. These are our 2 main facilities. So I wanted a little bit more of a convenient way to get between the 2 of them. This one, of course, is the factory that we left off in the other episode. And it's stockpiling plenty of resources. I come in here, sometimes I'll grab them. Sometimes I grab them just so that I can donate them to the little fix-it thing so that we can get more of these fix-it coupons, which is where I was able to actually unlock the hypertube floor entrance. That was through the fix-it Awesome Shop. So they have a ton of great stuff in there. The next thing I really want to unlock from the Awesome Store is going to be lighting. It's really dark around here. I know we have an energy problem practically all the time, but it would be nice to have a little bit of bright lights here and there, even if it's only indoors. It definitely feels like a scary game whenever I'm walking around and it's either pitch black or I have my flashlight on, and it really gives that scary game vibe. So this is the other pipeline that we have, and it is way quicker than running over here. Obviously, this isn't the fastest or anything like that, but it is significantly faster than if we were to try and run here. I am going to redo this place and deck it out even more, but I didn't want to do that, you know, not recording or in this episode probably, but I do have it on my radar, so just keep that in mind. Also, since we are here, let's try to blow this up. That was awesome. That was great. So now we have more coal. That means that we can have access to more of these coal generating facilities. And I noticed some of these facilities, I guess, were not set up the best, mainly on this pipeline. So some of these facilities do turn off sometimes, but the new ones we just set up are perfectly fine. So as you can see here, I even already set up a few extra water pumps, but that's going to be a little bit until we actually get to those water pumps. So we will come back and make this a future project whenever we need a little bit more power. Luckily right now we did solve it for the time being with that setup that we just finished not too long ago, and that'll sustain us for quite some time. Also, I don't think I showed off just yet, but it's been a day or two and we do have 100% charge on our Duracell battery farm, so we really don't need to worry about our power running out anytime soon. So I'm really happy about all of the countermeasures we've done to battle the constant energy crisis. So hopefully this isn't something that we have to think about for at least one more episode. Speaking of which, I am going to demolish that building, so make sure to say your goodbyes to it. But that's not what we're focusing on. We're going to be going to phase 3. Everything is done, everything is handled, and we can now actually finish everything. So it took a little bit of time, but I did ramp up production, and as you can see, we've been stockpiling some of our smart plates and some of our other items, just in case we need them again for our next project. Speaking of which, let's get it started. Space elevator, lock and load. Alright, this is getting pretty exciting. Here we go. I've been waiting for a long time to seal this in and send it out.
Welcome to the Project Assembly Pioneer Progress presentation. Congratulations, the Phase 2 project part shipment is now ready for delivery. On delivery, Phase 2 will be completed and the construction dock will be constructed. After completion of Phase 2, the technologies of Tiers 5 and 6 will become available in the hub. These might feel intimidating after your previous experience, but rest assured that you would not be here if you were entirely incompetent. Highlights are oil production, railway transportation, the jetpack, and many more. Completing Phase 3 of Project Assembly is your next main objective. Just remember to focus on producing and delivering the project parts, and Fixit's faith in you will be strengthened.
Oh boy, that is actually super exciting. I did not expect things like jetpacks, so I'm really excited to see that. And we're sending the new stuff in outer space. This is actually one of my favorite parts. Get out of the way, clouds. Oh, look at it. It's going. Yeah, that's cool. All the space stuff is cool. I'm telling you, they need to make a space station version of this game.
Phase 2 of Project Assembly completed. You have been performing more adequately under pressure and are closer than ever to saving the day. Perhaps you were the right choice for the job. Time will tell. You will now enter Phase 3 of Project Assembly. Continue as you are, and there should be no issue. For humanity. For Fixit.
Damn, this is cool. That is awesome. So there's people up there, dude. They're doing their stuff. Or at least that's what it looks like. The unfortunate thing is we do have a bit of a problem. So apparently, obviously, we don't need any of these smart plating or any of those smart plating. Luckily, we do have the conveyor belt for the framework, but we also don't need any of this automated wiring. Yeah, definitely kind of sad about that. I'm not going to cry, but I might think about it sometimes. So I'm going to bring some of this automated wiring over and see if I can donate it to fix it, because that would be nice to have some use for it instead of it sitting here and kind of just withering away in sadness, kind of like me. So let's bring this back to the main base, see if we can throw these in there, and also take a look at our brand new milestones. So let's throw this in here real quick before I forget. And hopefully they give us some points. Let's see how many points they give us. We're at 16.6 and they go in, no problem. And they give us so many points. Oh my god, that is the most amount of points we've gotten by so much. All right, so nice. All the smart plating, all the automated wiring is going to go to a good home. I'm really excited to get into these next milestones. And we're back real quick. I had to take a little bit of a break, but we can check out the milestones now. I'm super excited about this because we haven't had new milestones in so long. We even spent enough time in the last set of milestones that I figured out how to use hypertubes, and I really didn't think I would use those. So now that we figured out up to tiers 4, we have 5 and 6 unlocked. This is where things are going to get interesting, because I didn't think there was jetpacks, and I wasn't really sure there was going to be oil. Definitely seems like there's both. We're destined to ruin this planet, and now we can unlock jetpacks. More inventory slots, which is always good, and it only requires 1,000 cables and 1,000 iron plates. Not bad. These motors are going to be a little bit annoying to make because I don't have anything dedicated to making them. But I could always make them myself, I think, if I really wanted to. Next, we do have oil, and this is a lot of stuff. This is a ton of stuff. Okay, this is a kind of a lot. So I've already gotten some motors and some of these circuit boards just from finding random shipwrecks throughout the world. So it's nice that we can now technically make them, and we should be pretty close to having everything that we need to unlock oil processing. This is going to be really interesting, and the part that I'm most concerned about is that there is so many items here. Because of that, we are going to have to get the oil, refine it after we extract it, and then turn it into a bunch of different products. So not only do we have different kinds of fuel, we have different kinds of crude and refined elements. So this is going to be quite the process, and a pretty long undertaking. I can imagine this entire thing being one episode, but at least it doesn't have too many requirements to unlock it and start messing around. Logistics, of course, is going to be more conveyor belts, and this looks faster than ever before. 480 units per minute is really high, but it does require rubber, so we are going to have to unlock processing and a truck, which does have 48 slots, kind of big. Then we have fluid packaging. This is kind of interesting because this does include things like gasoline, which is going to be pretty important potentially, or maybe not. Nope, never mind. It's going to be important. We have fuel-powered generators with petroleum power. That is cool. And here we have the Caterium ore, which we've already discovered, and I'm probably going to be setting up a processing facility for that very soon. So some things definitely surprised me, some things I kind of already knew about, but either way, I am super excited for what we have coming next. This is really, really interesting, and we haven't even got to tier 6. I can only imagine what kind of space age stuff is going to be in 8 and 9. So tier 6, we have industrial manufacturing, which includes computers, which I've found a few of these in shipwrecks too. And then we have a few other things I don't even know what we could possibly use them for. The manufacturer, though, this seems kind of crazy. It looks like a souped up beast version of a constructor, and that is essentially what it is. On top of that, we have train technology, so we're gonna definitely have to start monopolizing all of the areas in the map to funnel all of our resources to making a train, because that sounds very, very cool. It also sounds like it might be highly involved, so I'm looking forward to figuring that out. We have railway signals, which doesn't seem like it needs to be its own milestone. Pipelines, which is probably just an upgrade of what we already have, because this is, I imagine, going to take a ton of electricity. And then we have fix-it blueprints numero dos. So that'll be really cool to figure out all this stuff. A lot less interesting stuff, but a lot of very valuable upgrade stuff in tier 6. So I look forward to all of that. Let's see if we can actually get jetpacks unlocked now so we can give it a try. Alright, after a ton of crafting, luckily we can make these motors ourselves. They do take quite a while though. So we had plenty of cable and sheets, or plates rather. I always call them sheets. No problem, we can unlock jetpacks.
Milestone reached. Fix-It has granted you the power of flight, provided you have a jetpack and the appropriate fuels. The jetpack refuels automatically while you are standing on a surface, and different fuel types will affect the jetpack's functionality. With this increased versatility, you will no doubt achieve efficiency levels previously unheard of.
So I looked through everything I could possibly find on the jetpack, and kind of unfortunately it doesn't say what type of fuel it prefers. It just says it takes different kinds, but I took out all of the solid fuel that we have in our bags and actually put in things like the regular coal or the compacted coal, and it didn't really seem like it wanted to take either one of those. So it really just seems like there's only a couple fuel options that we have access to, being some type of solid or biofuel potentially, and then that's kind of it. The next thing, of course, is going to be either some type of oil product or something like that. And then, of course, we have petroleum, which is going to be, gas or fuel. So I think it's really just saying that we have to wait until we have access to one of those in order to use something other than biofuel. Because as it stands now, we have no access to liquid biofuel, which would be great. Or something like just packaged fuel would also probably work. So jetpack's cool, no doubt. But as you can see in the bottom left, it does run out, and then once it runs out, it can't refill in the middle of the air, so you have to land. Or potentially, let me see, if you just fall for a while. No, yeah, you have to land. So it's definitely not a perfect option, and I'm glad I have the parachute healer here, as I'll probably keep it on me just in case for those really sketchy situations, as it is a unlimited slow fall, which is super nice. That being said, I actually almost forgot, we're at the mayhem, and I figured since we're here, we'll finish off a few things. So we have the nutritional inhaler. Honestly, this isn't going to be a big unlock, I'm just happy to have it done. It's another protein inhaler. There we go. Now we can inhale everything we want.
Research completed. The protein inhaler can restore health in the eventuality that you have been carelessly damaging Fix-It property.
And unfortunately, that does look like the last thing that we can actually get going, but that being said, we do have turbo fuel that can be done pretty soon here. We actually have the hard drive, since I found a few wreckages while we were offline, and then we can make fuel fairly soon as well. Along with that, we can make plastic, which is going to be huge for smokeless powder, and I'm very curious to get my hands on the new rifle. Besides that though, we do have something else I wanted to knock out just before we get to the end of this episode. I actually didn't realize that we have been playing for quite a while. Kind of just get lost playing sometimes, but we have done quite a lot this episode from a bunch of different... Oh, I almost forgot we didn't have a... Oh, I almost just fell to my death. I forgot that we didn't have the parachute on. But we have done a ton this episode. I forgot that we even started by redoing all of our water and coal energy for the home base, which actually was still a really strong success. The Caterium, which previously before we couldn't get access to because, well, we didn't have explosives, and now we have a little too many explosives. That seems a little crazy of me to do, and I kind of regret it, but we're here now, so let's get this Caterium going. We're going to throw on a tier 2 miner and maybe even set up a bit of a processing facility in the meantime. So let's get this going. Since we have some wildlife interacting with us while we're trying to set up our new facility, I'll show you that I actually forgot to mention I unlocked the shatter rebar ammunition, which is cool, but not as cool as I imagined. I thought it would shoot and then explode, kind of, but this really just turns your rebar gun into a shotgun, which is strong, as you can see, but it kind of just shoots it off into, like, it just scatters around, which can be cool if you're close like that, but also can be slightly less effective if you're even a little far away. So it's cool, I'm using it for sure, but it's not the one shoe fits all type of deal that I thought it might have been originally. Alright, after a little bit of finagling and moving things around, we were able to set up this fairly unique situation, I guess. So I was able to snake the conveyor belt in here and then down to these 3 smelters. Now typically it would be success and pretty much done right there. We would just need to go and configure the constructors up top. But considering the constructors aren't needed, we don't even know what to use Caterium with right now. We have to research Quickwire to even begin making that. So once we do research Quickwire, then I'll easily just be able to go upstairs, put down another conveyor belt like we used to have, and then we can feed everything into here like normal. But as it is now, we don't have a use. So I'm just going to send all of the ingots straight through this merger into our storage unit. And we should be collecting our new and shiny ingots. Wow. All right. So it's already been a few seconds and we're already pumping out a ton of Caterium. So I'm glad I upgraded these particular belts to tier 3. Definitely seems to be helping. And we should have a good amount of product in no time. I know we just said that we needed some Caterium to start with our research, but I think we might already have enough. So I'm going to go research and potentially come back so we can start making things like Quickwire. And just like that, we are back home. We have our new and improved travel system set up. We do need to put a entrance on this side, but no problem at all. So there we go. We have power. We can go to and from our Caterium mine whenever we want. It's actually not as far away as I thought. And it was really easy to set up. I'm so glad we did that blueprint earlier. It'll be exciting to do the blueprint 2.0 so that we can finally have a bigger facility. Maybe one set up for double assemblers or something. That'd be kind of nice. So let's get this Caterium underway. We do need the 50 to start the research for the Quickwire, and then we can rearrange our facility as needed. So we were able to set this up. I'm pretty sure we just had to employ some incredibly dark arts in order to get it to work. So we set up a conveyor carrier onto our conveyor carrier and yeah, connected it that way through the merger. So now the merger can go into our storage. So not all solutions are likely candidates. Just make sure to think out of the box, and you too could employ the dark arts into your own conveyor belt system. We're not going to be using the assembler right now, but I have a feeling that we're going to use it fairly soon, which is why I'm not removing it at the time. If I didn't think we were going to use it, then I would remove it, similar to how we did for the other facilities. So I'm going to leave it here for now. And everything is stacking up nicely. We already have 30 Quickwire in here, and the rest of it that is getting sent down here should already be on the bottom floor. We should already have a good amount. And there we go. We already have a full stack of 200. So let's take this back to base and finish off the episode strong with a bit of research. And we're back to the MAM. Let's research everything the Caterium has to offer, which, to be fair, isn't too much right now, but zip lines? Who doesn't like zip lines?
Zipline unlocked. When equipped, the zipline facilitates travel along power lines, regardless of whether the line is powered. Note: based on previous Pioneer events, Fixit recommends not using ziplines during thunderstorms and typhoons, or while drinking coffee.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I'm definitely going to try the zipline out whilst drinking coffee, just to make sure their claims are legitimate. So I realized that I have this old Xeno Zapper laying around. Let's make this, because I didn't realize this would be usable while, or for power lines. That is crazy. Let's see, how does this work? Is this a power line? Does this count? Or does it only mean these power lines? Let's see real quick. Oh, I have to have it unlocked. Oh, this is sick. Oh my god. This is cool as heck. Alright. And then it knocks you off. Classic. And your jetpack recharges while you're on these. Oh my god. I'm about to set up a million of these. Come on, what's going on? There we go. Yeah, I'm definitely setting up like a million billion of these and being way more conscious of when and where they are set up, because I didn't think this would be as sick as it is, but this is cool. Also, I can definitely drink coffee while doing that. I don't know what they're talking about, but that'll definitely happen. That is cool. It's actually beyond cool, but I don't really have any good words for that. It's just really cool. Alright. Yeah, that's sick. That's definitely the best upgrade so far. That's cooler than the jetpack for sure. So the next thing that we have to unlock is actually some research. I almost got ahead of myself just because I was so sidetracked on the zip line. We need 6 Caterium. I'll be back in a blink of an eye. And that is the next bit of research complete. 3 seconds, too long.
New Caterium research options available. Congratulations on finding this metal. Many Fixit initiatives will benefit from Caterium's applicability in advanced engineering. Also, it is probably not sentient, and so unlikely to feel pain as we exploit it.
This is awesome. Honestly, these changes are, or these rewards, I should say, are pretty crazy. So, we have the Power Pole Mark II. I kind of don't know or care what that is, but I want whatever this is. This is going to be cool. AI limiter. I don't know what that is, but it leads to the smart splitter, which I'm interested in for sure. Let's do some research real quick to see what this is.
Research completed. AI limiter recipe unlocked. New Caterium research available.
Okay, apparently the AI does not want to expand on what the AI limiter is. That tracks. Okay. Although I'm sure they're cool, the Power Poles Mark II, I'm not too excited about, so I hope the next thing's cool. Power Poles Mark III, no.
Power Pole Mark II unlocked. This provides additional power connections compared to the Power Pole Mark I.
And that is it for the stuff that we can currently research for the Caterium. We have a few things that we could unlock, like the power switch or the smart splitter, which do look pretty cool, especially the programmable splitter, which we'll be able to unlock relatively soon. Everything else, we are kind of gated by our next big milestone, which I'm really looking forward to, which is oil processing. This is going to unlock a ton of super useful stuff, with especially looking at the plastics. This is going to be a big unlock. But we also have refinery, extracting, also circuit boards. All of these things are going to be huge with progressing the rest of the tier and materials. I'm sure of it. So we have a bunch of stuff going on. a bunch of progress made this episode, and we even have a jetpack to show for it, which is going to really help later on. And we got a brand new zipliner. So all of this has been super cool and way more progress than I anticipated. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, then make sure to follow along as we make more episodes and more progress. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all very soon.